Welcome to a T1 Technology Visor Pro webinar. My name is Robert Saik. I am the founder and CEO of T1. We're having a Visor Pro webinar today for the equipment sector. It's very exciting to have you with us today. If you've got questions that you want to put into the questions, I'll read them and share them later on with the audience. T1 Technology Company is creating technology for the blue-collar sectors of agriculture and the heavy equipment sector. VI is a solution for equipment dealerships. We're dealer-centric, short-line friendly, and colorblind. And we're using AI, or should I say SI, specific intelligence, to enhance the service at dealership level. Today, we've got 4 guests with us. We've got George Keane, Wise Wolf. He's a wise wolf, and he's with us out of Florida. George has got decades of experience at integrating performance and change at dealership level. Good friend of mine, Russ Green, is with us out of Kentucky, and Russ is with Machinery Advisors Consortium, no stranger to the industry. Russ and I go way back. Danielle is a dealer using Visor Pro. They've got 12 stores at Ag Revolution, and Danielle is located in Indiana. John Schmeiser, 27 years experience with the North American Equipment Dealers Association, and excited to say that now he's our Chief Operating Officer, and he's in Saskatchewan, and I'm located in Alberta. So we've got pretty much the continent covered. We are going to go through a series of questions and comments with these folks, and if you got any questions, throw them in the chat. The purpose is to educate the dealerships what we can do with Visor Pro and where the technology is going with respect to AI inside the dealerships. We are more than happy to do demos with you guys to show you what we can do for you. And the reason I'm excited about having Daniel on board is because we just brought Ag Revolution on, and we launched them with Visor Pro. Visor Pro has 3 steps. We have a vault, dealer vault, in which we load the dealer information, technical manuals, OEM manuals, operator manuals. We have dealer brain, which connects to the ERP system or the business system, which we did for Ag Revolution. And then going forward, we have dealer asset, where Visor Pro will actually make additional revenue for the dealerships. George, let's start off with you. Talk to us. You've got loads of experience. Talk to us a little bit about the challenges that you see facing the equipment dealerships. Largely, these are family-held dealerships, but equipment dealerships today, what are you seeing out there?
I see probably 6 or 7 pain points that dealers, service departments in particular, experience. There's a backlog of getting to customer equipment for service. Service department may be so busy they can't get to it for a week or more, and customer needs that equipment to do their work. So sometimes they'll look at the situation and they go across the street. They go to someone else. Additionally, the service technician gets to that equipment, and they've got to spend time diagnosing what the problem is. And the longer that diagnosis takes, the more difficult it is to stay within what I call standard time guidelines. Yeah. If the service manager quoted that job for 5 hours and the technician takes an hour to diagnose the problem, he can't work on solving the problem. So the faster he can get the diagnosis done correctly, the better. I've had times that dealers have told me customer calls in and they want information about their equipment and they want to figure out how to work on it themselves. Well, who's going to be on that phone, service manager or technician? And how long is that phone call going to be? Are they able to bill the customer for that? That's time that's being stolen away from billable time, usually. One of the bigger issues we've got in this industry is our aging technician group. You know, some of them are 50, 60, and I know the dealership I worked in, we had one guy that was, 75 years old, and he was still working. But our
Mhm.
problem was finding younger technicians and then transferring that information to the younger guys. I mean, if we can find them, how do we get that ages of experience transferred down to them? We need to also look if we're going to have new technology or just change in general happening within the dealership. We've got to figure out who's going to be the champion for handling those changes, for making sure that everyone is on board, comfortable, and supporting the direction we're going. And lastly, in this uncertain economy, and I'm actually getting tired of that phrase, but it's the way things are going.
George, I don't know what you mean. What's uncertain, George?
You're in Canada, I'm in Florida, and I've got politics down here that you don't have. But one of the issues I think that we need to be focusing on as the dealer group is we've got to be dealing with better absorption within the dealerships, and the faster the service department can deliver billing and profit and productivity, the better our absorption is going to be.
Yeah, so, picking up on that and moving to Russ here in a second, but I was just looking at a hydrostatic issue on a sprayer, and the work order information showed that it was 4 to 6 hours, but there were two outliers at 41 hours and 63 hours. So unless the dealership has that kind of information, and what we're doing right now is we're pulling that information actually from the dealer. Russ, you talked about an interesting observation that you've been making with respect to the integration of technology inside the culture of the dealership. Can you talk a little bit about that, Russ?
Yeah, you know that anytime I have to talk about technology, I better have an expert on my shoulder because that's not my skill set. And I'll look at this from 2 points at a little higher level. And one's very, very important. If you look at this from the customer backwards, the customer only wants two things of the service department of the dealership. They want speed and they want accuracy, right? And they want the problem identified and solved quickly and at the first time, the right time. And what happens with a technology, you've given it a new name, you've talked about specific and intelligence. This is really an automated intelligence that's happening that gives the entire enterprise an outlook on how to diagnose and fix and repair the problem and get it back in the hands of the customer very quickly. And what it does is it breaks down the fences or the silos between departments. The parts and service department, the benefits to those two departments are very evident. But even the sales organization, when they know that their organization is educated and informed and using the latest of technology and that their customers are going to be satisfied with that accuracy and with that speed, that's significantly meaningful. So it's an enterprise approach to make sure that that dealership is fortified with technology. Number two, this YZ generation wants to use technology. They want purposeful work. They want to know, just like the tools that are in the specialty tool shop, whether it's calipers or whether it's torque wrenches, they want to know that the digital technology that's being supplied to them by their dealer is top shelf. They want purposeful work, and when they don't get it, they become frustrated and they move on somewhere else. So you could use AI as a retention device, not only to recruit, but to retain and reward your employees so that they stay where they're at. They want to work with somebody that has the knowledge towards technology. It's a force multiplier in your organization. It's multiplying the force of the intelligence of those, and you've talked about the vault. The intelligence is the vault, you put it to work, and it multiplies the force of the organization across all platforms.
So Danielle, we brought you guys on, and it was really exciting for us because you're one of the first dealerships we launched that had both the dealer vault, which is all the technical information, but also the dealer brain, which is the extraction of the legacy work orders through your ERP system. And now we're trying to capture the experiential knowledge and wisdom of your people inside of the AgRevolution Vault inside Visor Pro. Can you talk a little bit, Daniel, about your experience so far, about coming on the platform and what you're seeing so far? Just talk to us from your perspective as a dealer.
Yeah, so when we started looking at Vi, there were a couple things that we wanted to solve. And we first met at a Precision Summit.
We did.
And the couple of the issues we wanted to solve, wanted to get all of our service info in one spot, right? Being a dealer with several different brands and short lines, service information for those products was spread out across 10 or 12, 15 different platforms, and trying to remember how to gain access to all of that for technicians can sometimes be cumbersome. And the other part of that, we're in a situation where we're a growing dealership, and we are hiring a lot of technicians from other brands and backgrounds. And for those folks to be able to come on board and go to one platform and search service information from Vi without having to learn every other manufacturer's layout in a service book or whatnot was probably two of the bigger things that really drove us to look at Vi as a solution for us. And then when we got down into the details of what Vi could do, when we integrate that into IntelliDealer, formerly known as CDK, is our business system. When we can integrate Vi, the dealer brain portion of this, into not only just looking for service manual, but looking at the past history of internal work orders and the time that technicians took to do certain jobs, the parts that were utilized during certain jobs. Now we're creating this tool that not only empowers our people to provide that speed to solution for our customer and repair machines quicker, faster, and reducing downtime. We're also creating billing gains within the profit side of our service department, right? There's three key things that we pivoted and started looking at as we evolve through this, and absorption, tech efficiency, and basically quote gain loss, whether we gained on a job or lost on a job. So, Vi has been a tool that's empowering us to really move the dealership forward in a lot of different aspects.
So, John, you've been on with a consultant with us since last July, and now you're Chief Operating Officer. You've been inside of our organization. What is it that's your impression of Visor Pro, and what is triggering interest from your interaction with the dealerships?
Well, one of the key reasons why I was so privileged to join the Visor Pro team is how this is truly helping dealers. I spent the last 28 years working with the dealers associations, where our mandate was to help dealers. And of all the tools that have come along over the years, this one is very specific and very pointed, where it can help in the aftermarket department. And this is an area where we typically have absorption rates across North America in that 65 to 70% range. And I think there's been a lot of tools that have been tried to increase absorption. And this is one that, I believe that can move the needle in terms of increased absorption rates, and speak to what Daniel had just said about how this is helping tech efficiency. And to the Visor Pro team, I was very impressed with the knowledge and the intelligence that the team has gathered in the artificial intelligence space. This is a very technical, this is a very powerful platform. It's dealing with different types of metadata that's coming either from the manufacturers in their model information, as well as the data that's coming out of a business system like IntelliDealer, like AgRevolution is using. And one of the coolest features of the Visor Pro platform, it is taking two buckets of data: service information that's in one portal, and work order information that's in the dealer's business system, and layering artificial intelligence over top of that into one platform is an incredibly powerful tool for a dealer.
George, when you look at you said something that was quite interesting earlier, speed and accuracy, and really we're going to come back to Daniel on this in a second. Speed and accuracy and a difference between kind of service and support. And this is really interesting because a lot of times the farmer just wants, or the construction user just wants support. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, the customer really doesn't care how you solve the problem, but their equipment is the basis on which they make their living. So whether it be a combine that's down and not functioning, or it's a backhoe or an excavator, okay, those customers rely on that equipment, and it's, you know, when it's not working, they're not making money. So the concern they have is they want it done correctly. They want it done first time. They certainly don't want any callbacks. And they want to be able to confidently know that when they bring their equipment to that dealership, that it's going to be done, you know, consistently, correct every time. So if we can't solve the problem immediately, we've got to have other solutions for the customer, and that's going to cost the dealership money. So the quicker we can get that solution taken care of, the more accurate we can have the quotation and get the customer to approve that repair, the better.
You know, I've been watching this to your point. As we've been introducing Visor Pro at dealership level, the customer comes into the parts guy and asks a question. Normally, the parts guy would tap on the shoulder of the service guy to answer the question, but if Visor Pro is there, he just punches in the manufacturer, the model number, and the question, and the answer is instantaneous, and it will not fabricate an answer. It gives you all the references. Daniel, in earlier, you were talking about the number of different people in the organization that you think could leverage Visor Pro. I'm interested to learn a little bit about your thought process and how you might leverage and integrate this across the business.
Yeah, so that's the unique thing about Vi, right? There are so many ancillary benefits to the dealership. And where we've started, you know, we started in the service department. We've been running Vi now, I think we're somewhere around the 3-month range. And we started out with my service man. Well, let me back up. We started out with a core of 3 super users. Myself, my training, and I've got a training instructor, technical trainer, who's also our TC, technical communicator. That's kind of a Caterpillar dealer term, but started out with him, myself, and then our product support manager. So we had a group of 3 of us that really jumped in and took this project, took it on, and then we rolled it into my service manager group next. And the ease of integration, right? I mean, when we talk about the super users, we spent 30 minutes with the platform and felt like we'd been running it for years. I mean, that is how easy it is to use. It's truly simple to pick up and run with. So we got the service managers lined out. We rolled that into the next about 2 or 3 days later, we did our service techs. We did the mobile techs, shop techs, brought them online, got them acclimated with it. And then we've already introduced it to our parts counter. You know, I think there's so many times in the dealership, somebody's coming in to get a filter, right? And this is a simple, I guess, example, but a customer's coming in for an oil filter and some oil to change oil in their tractor. And they ask the parts folks, hey, how many gallons does this take, or quarts? And, you know, some parts counter help is great, and they've been in the role. But a lot of times that parts counter is kind of an entry level for dealership personnel. And they don't know where to go to find that info, and they go to the service manager or service writer or a technician and hey, how much is this and that? And every time we do that, you know, we're taking away from tech efficiency or the ability for that tech to do something or a service manager to call back a customer. So with this tool, our parts department's going in, they're looking at capacities or, simple questions of that nature. Maybe they're getting a head gasket. The customer's getting a head gasket kit and, hey, what's that head bolt torque to? No longer do we have to tie up the service manager or service writer. Our parts counter is empowered with the ability to find those answers very, very quickly. The second part of what I foresee happening on the parts counter, now we're going to be able to start upselling at the counter. Let's say customer comes in, needs a thermostat. Well, those of us on the call that have turned wrenches with a mechanical background, we know that the customer is going to need more than a thermostat. He's going to need gaskets. He's going to need coolant. He's going to need O-rings, right? Well, now with our dealer brain tied into Vi, that parts counter person can search the jobs that we've done in the past and be able to say, hey, well, my technician did this job 2 months ago, and he got the thermostat, but he got these gaskets, these O-rings, and 5 gallons of coolant. You probably want to take this with you if you haven't already thought about that. And that's the cool part. You cannot just teach that. You can't teach that. So the ability for all of our technology and our real life situations being captured through IntelliDealer, now it's in one spot when we can search it through Vi is truly powerful. The third part we're about to bring online, we haven't done it. Russ touched on it earlier, and I never really thought about what we were doing by bringing in the sales side of this, by tearing down silos. And I've thought a lot about that comment from earlier. And when we bring our sales team in, no longer is the salesperson going to have to rely on a tech or the service manager for common operator maintenance manual needs, or light service requests or service questions. They can jump in Vi, and they can truly be the solution provider to their customer. Now, why would we want our salesman to be a solution provider to our customer? Number one, we're breaking down those walls because they're not having to wait on a service manager to make a phone call, and there's that time that goes by, but when we provide solutions from all levels of our dealership, we elevate the customer experience, and that customer is going to want to buy more machines, going to want to buy more parts and more service hours from us. So truly a powerful tool when you look at that, what we can do across all 3 departments.
When I was talking to Stacy Anthony about integrating Visor Pro into Ag Revolution, we concentrated on the service side of the equation, and now you've expanded. You've taken this thing, and you're seeing more runway. Russ, from the standpoint of integrating technology into a dealership, not everybody is set up to grab a new technology and instantaneously use it. New tools come along, and there's a kind of a process to introduce these tools inside of a dealership. Any advice if somebody is going to grab Visor Pro and introduce it into their dealership on how the dealership should approach this? Oh, you're muted, Russ. You got to unmute, buddy. Russ just moved from computer to phone. Now he's unmuting. So he's doing the Kentucky two-step here, trying to figure it out. Okay, we'll come back to you, Russ. Okay,
hey, Robert, I'll jump in here real quick and just touch base on our integration. That was kind of the question up there. I've been I've been in the dealership world my whole working career. Started out in high school working for a cat dealer. So I've been a part of a lot of integrations, at our cat dealer, from DBX to AX and just all kind of things. And initially when we started about integration, I was a little nervous, but I'll, be straight up here. This was probably the simplest integration, and you guys said it would be simple. 2 or 3 weeks, we'll have you rolling with a portal, and you'll have Vi, and you'll be ready to go. And a little bit skeptical, to be honest. I didn't think it would be that smooth, but when we finally pulled the trigger on the decision to move forward, within 3 weeks, I gave you all a list of machines that we were in season. It was planters, sprayers, tractors. And that was the 3 topics, and then some short lines I wanted in there. 3 weeks, I had Vi access, and we were rolling. And at that point, you had 85% of our dealer brain built with IntelliDealer info in it, and it's been smooth. It's been hands off. To be honest, I got to log in. I logged in, and that's all I've done. So,
Well,
you guys have got it figured out.
A lot of time has been spent on the prompting engine for Visor Pro to make it really, really simple. Even I can use it, and you learn all kinds of. Russ, back to you again. You're unmuted now. About the cultural thing about introducing new technology to a dealership. You've seen this roll out how many times, and what's your advice?
My advice to you is to cut me off and just listen to Daniel. He's the spokesperson and doing an excellent job. But we at Mac, and you know this, Rob, we at Mac have about 390 rooftops as clients, and we get a chance to go into the back door and watch these guys perform. And this is my 50th year. And I've seldom seen a new technology or a new process innovate or move a dealership forward faster than what this AI platform is doing. We talk in our groups about becoming collaborative and connected, adaptive and digital. And nothing says more about moving an organization, to connect an organization, to make the departments collaborative, to use digitization. You're digitizing your history. We talked, and George talked about it, tribal knowledge walking out of a dealership, the baby boomers, even millennials moving out of their operations. You don't lose that intellect. It's in the vault.
Yeah.
All you have to do is unlock it. And the speed and the accuracy with which that is done is going to set a new standard. And not only we talk about, and historically, the customer's been king. Yeah, maybe. Today, the employee is king. It's so important to attract the right people, put the right people on the bus, have the right people in your organization. And those people want to use tools like Vi. They want those kind of tools because they know that's going to make them look good in the workplace. Nobody wants to start a job.
Yeah.
And get to the point they find out, hey, I'm at a point where I need certain parts and didn't know those parts were going to be eligible for this work. And Danielle talks about those ancillary pieces. Those pieces of knowledge can't be captured any quicker than in the vault of Vi. So it becomes a new standard. It connects all departments of the organization. They can collaborate. And when the service department looks better, the sales department looks better. When the sales department has confidence instead of condemning their service department for being too slow or inaccurate, they're now out bragging about this new tool that's being used in the shop to make sure a 5-hour job is a 5-hour job, that an 8-hour job is an 8-hour job, and they're not going into it guessing what they're going to find through that investigatory process or as they're doing the diagnostics.
Hey, John, when you joined us, we were primarily dealer vault. We were loading up OEM manuals, operator service manuals into the dealership's vault. By the way, protecting copyright, because the only person who accesses that vault is the dealership. But now we've branched out with Dealer Brain, and whether it's DIS, HBS, whether it's IntelliDealer, whether it's any basic, any of them, we're able to pull that, tap into that legacy data from the work orders of that dealership. I want you to talk to me about your perception of the value of the dealership being able to extract information out of a previously untapped source of data.
Well, one thing I should say before I get into the data, Rob, is how the platform was built with the involvement of dealers.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and I sat in a number of meetings with you and some dealers, the NADA board at one time. And I vividly recall the dealers at the table who were viewing the vault who would say, what would be really great was if the platform had this, or if the platform had that. And one of the things that came from the dealers in, I guess, this focus group, you could say, was the need for artificial intelligence over the work order information. And the dealers also said that this should be dealer centric as well too, because we carry a a lot of short lines in cases. You know, Ag Revolution is a great example of that. And having all that portal in one in one location, how valuable, you know, that is. But the data itself is incredibly valuable. And what we're seeing with the dealers who are now using Dealer Brain, they're seeing the true value of that work order information that they do have, especially when it comes to repair times and parts used in these standard repairs. The OEMs historically put out flat rate guides, and you can argue whether or not those flat rate guides are really relevant to the actual repair time that a dealer is doing. Well, I think for the first time, the dealers are recognizing the value of that data that they do have in their work order information. And like my colleagues on this call have said, leveraging that information to quote jobs accurately, perform jobs accurately in those repair times, and also use it as an opportunity to upsell on parts.
If we think about AI, George, and your a lot of discussion around AI taking jobs. I think the industry information says that almost all dealerships will hire a technician if they could find one. I want you to comment a little bit about, is this going to take away my job? And I'd like your perspective on it.
AI at this point does not have hands to go do the repair itself. So let's start with that one. I think AI is going to empower technicians to do more and better repairs, but I don't see AI taking away the ability for technicians to do work. I think AI is going to something that Daniel mentioned earlier. I think it's going to expand into other departments. I think AI is going to give us the ability within the dealership, as Daniel mentioned, parts counter frequently is an entry-level position. That might be someone who would love to become a technician, but doesn't have any background, doesn't have any training, doesn't have any experience. Now we can start using AI with the dealer information, the manufacturer's manual information, and all that. We can start to train that parts counter person on limited and incremental training of what a technician can and should be doing.
Yep.
We can start to take advantage of the information inside the dealership and start to use it to develop our people instead of replacing people. I think AI is going to expand the capability of our staff.
Daniel, in my past, my organization Agritrend AgriData was acquired by Trimble. Trimble is now PTx Trimble inside of AGCO, moving into the precision agriculture side of the equation. Daniel, can you talk a little bit about your vision on the precision? We didn't talk about this before, but I'd be interested in your perception on how you think you might leverage VisorPro and the precision ag, or if you're in construction, just in the whole geomatic side of the equation for support.
Yeah, I think precision technology, we can throw that all into one bucket, whether it's PTx, precision planning, PTx Trimble, Ag Leader, Raven, you name it, right? We're a dealer that's got a lot of different technology offerings. Rogators and interrogators still coming out with Raven technology. And there's a lot of voids in that space when it comes to product knowledge and support. A lot of voids. You've usually got some really strong super users. We've got guys that are our technology advisors, and those are our experts, product experts. Not only are we going to leverage the service information in Vi, one thing we're going to really utilize here is the ability for us to make our own notes inside of VI. So when we've got work orders that's dealing with technology solutions, whether it be a Reichard kit that we're putting in a Fendt tractor because this grower has to use their other green color, technology, but they want that integration to the Fendt tractor. We're going to make the notes inside VI where the next time a service manager needs to know, hey, what we're looking at the Reichard install in a particular unit. They can go, those jobs are going to pull up, the data is going to be there, the parts, the standard jobs are going to be there for this technology package. That's where I see us utilizing that first is being able to capture the knowledge of 5 or 6 of our super users within our own platforms, and then that knowledge being able to expand to the next generation of techs or technology guys, and expanding upon that. Because one thing we run out of very quick in planning season is bandwidth of our technology support. So leveraging this tool to provide that better support and customer experience during the busy time is how I see it helping us out of the gate.
We've all run into this. Springtime comes, and how many times, Daniel, have you answered the question, how do I set that AB line again? Because it's 12 months since I've done it. Sit back in that. Now, John, I want to talk to you a little bit about the complexity of the dealerships.
Yeah.
The dealerships all have a major line, but most of these dealerships have between 10, 15 to 20 different short lines that they handle. VI will handle them all. Talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing there in the complexity of accessing information from 10 to 15 portals.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. I'm reminded of a story of one dealer who shared that his main line accounts for about 40% of his service work, and the other 60% comes from about the 12 short lines that he has. And some of these short lines are very technical equipment where it's something that they don't deal with on a regular basis just because of the volume of units that are sold. But in terms of the repair, it's not a very easy fix. So they are spending a lot of time on researching how to do the repair, diagnosing the repair, and that's non-billable time. I can't think of a dealership, across North America that doesn't have a complementary line, to their main line. It's just because of the market that they're in, and with those short lines, we have all sorts of highly sophisticated and rather simple to use pieces of equipment that are part of that dealership's portfolio of what they're offering to the customer. It's not like the automotive industry where there's cars and there's trucks and it's a very probably simplistic approach when it comes to the repair. It's the nature of our industry that we have these unique pieces of equipment that require extra attention to detail and what I would say research on how to do some of these repairs.
Well, and it's pressure too, like it's time pressure, because in a lot of industries, if you don't get the piece of equipment this week, it'll still, the job will be there next week, but you can't get the crop in the ground or you can't get something done on time, you're in trouble. Russ, I want you to pontificate for me a little bit about the value of the data inside the dealership from the dealership's own systems as an asset for the dealership. What's your thoughts?
Well, everyone looks for brand differentiation. And the sign hanging in front of the dealership, it's certainly from the OEM, it's important. They generalize around brand identity. But I believe this technology and the adaptability and the speed with which they're adapting it is going to build the dealer's brand. The dealers are going to have more uniqueness now, and the individual dealer name, whatever it may be, is going to spread by word of mouth through their organizations and through their marketplaces about the speed and accuracy that happens within the shop and the connectivity that happens within the organization and how they are satisfying that need for speed and accuracy with this technology. You can't hide from it. You take a look at how long it took us to adapt to Well, the internet adaptability took decades. The cell phone adaptability took years. The IA adaptability is going to take weeks and in some cases days. And what is known within your organization, and particularly these dealerships that are multi-location and on a spread across states and in different locations, when they find an issue in one location, they can share that issue across their organization in time. And that sharing, that collaboration is going to build their brand. It's going to build.
My question was, not just building the brand, but the value of that digitized repository. Do you think that's going to be an asset for the dealers?
Oh, and without question, that it just as much as their reputation is for how they trade and how they treat you, this is going to be a new standard, and that's going to be the reputation of the dealer, and that's what they. And by the way, not only do they want to be the dealer of choice, they want to be the employer of choice, and they're going to be the young coming out of schools. They're going to want, where do I go that I can apply myself and be advanced with technology and live in the future and not in the past?
George, you were going to jump in and say something there.
Okay. Think of what I could do within the dealership. I spent 10 years in one, not the color that we're talking about here. But if I had Visor Pro and I had all that information from IntelliDealer and all of the manufacturer's information, now I've got, let's just take the top 4 or 5 customers that I've worked on equipment, and I go back and look at what we've done. Now I can start to predict what I'm going to need to do in the next 6 months for those accounts. And I can make sure I have all the parts ready. I have the technicians already trained in certain areas, but I can schedule that work so that it's not going to create downtime for the customer, but I can be proactive on working with my customers so that they get better service. And it's because I had the information in Visor Pro to work with them.
Danielle, you've got 12 locations. Let's use an example of, I don't know, the boom's not folding on a sprayer. Inside of your dealership, you got 12 locations, so you have lots of technicians. I bet you technician A doesn't even know that technician M has worked on this thing. They can't even find each other. And so we're hoping that Visor Pro, that's one of the things it'll do, is it'll show you which technician inside of your dealership. Like there's one dealership, we pulled hundreds of thousands of work orders forward. They've never been able to mine this before. We tell them the parts, the number of hours. More importantly, the technicians have worked on this before. Daniel, this is a big deal for a younger technician to tap into an older experienced guy.
It is. It's a really big deal. And you know, within IntelliDealer, there are ways to run reports and search past work orders and machine history. That can be done, right? But it cannot be done near as easy, near as streamlined from one platform, searching the whole dealer database with one question in one spot. And it would take days, maybe not days, it would take hours to go into IntelliDealer and search a machine history problem. Boom's not moving on a, whatever. You can do it in seconds on Vi. And we've done that, in the beginning here. We've looked at different repairs and it pulls in, work orders associated with that question. You can see labor time spent, parts spent. It gives the synopsis of the work order, repair, the complaint, cause correction, and it's all right there at their fingertips. And even when we've got seasoned technicians that have come from other brands who come in, they may not know our brand, they may not know that machine. They're a good mechanic, but if they can go in there and spend 10 minutes searching and looking and finding some real good data that's real life situations, man, we can order the right part the first time. We're mobile. We're primarily mobile
Yeah,
based. You know,
Visor Pro will work on your mobile phone. Yep.
Yep. And with our technicians being mobile, you know, more mobile versus brick and mortar, you know, we can order the right part the first time when we make that trip a lot of times, you know, and we was doing that before but Vi even helps us increase that accuracy even more. With that, you know, being able to go back and look at the work orders and repair history.
Yeah, the amount of wisdom, John, that is being pulled out, just from what you've seen so far, how do you think, and George made a good point, really, you're talking here about doing some predictive analysis, but when you think about, John, about being able to harvest the data out of the work orders, and you think about a piece of equipment going off warranty, don't you think you want to get some of that repair work done before the warranty expires?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one issue that's always a point of contention between OEMs and dealers and warranty reimbursement. And I think dealers are missing an opportunity on some warranty work by not scheduling these things out. And if there's any predictive nature that they have, or some data within their system about failures on a particular model, this gives them the tool to reach out to other customers who have purchased that model and address this issue before the end of the warranty period ends for that particular product. So there isn't anything in terms of a platform to do this prior to Visor Pro outside of a gut feel, or perhaps a little bit of knowledge that the service manager has, that hey, this may fail on these particular customers as well. We should address that before the warranty period. But Vi gives them the tool at the very least with a roadmap of what other customers out there could be potentially facing that failure. And this is what was done on the previous repairs on that warranty work. Down the road, in conversations that we've had with dealers, they want to see Visor Pro help them write better warranty claims. Okay, but the first step of that is actually performing the warranty work.
Well, I was good. I was just sorry. I mean, to just interrupt. Daniel just said that they've got great mechanics. Great mechanics don't mean that they write good stories on the work order. And having the work orders that are legacy work orders helps the service writer write better work orders going forward, and ultimately that can help for better warranty claims. Sorry, I was just trying to thread this all together.
And also from the OEM perspective, that would save the OEM some administrative costs too, because there can be some back and forth between the dealer and the OEM on whether that warranty work has been approved. And if the warranty claim is submitted properly with the correct background information the first time, and the dealer gets paid off that first submission, that really speaks to the efficiencies that can be gained in between that dealer and OEM relationship.
Yeah.
Russ, I want to talk a little bit about leadership. And inside of these dealerships, and many of these dealerships are multi-store dealerships, and a lot of them are being operated. And there's head office discussions going on right now. What are you hearing from the leadership of these dealerships about trying to make the business more efficient, because whole good sales are down, and they're looking at trying to squeeze additional business from somewhere?
Yeah, top of mind right now is the shop and parts and absorption. Dealers, when we were order takers in 21, 22, and you not only could sell all that you had new on your lot, but the used was moving. Now we got to be order makers, and those orders, the first product might be sold by the sales department, the whole goods department, but sales 3, 4, and 5 are made by the shop. And what we're talking about here is ways to shop the integrated partner and complement the quality of the dealership with the quality of their work. And I think you're going to find the new generation, the YZ generation, I get it. They want these tools, and the last thing they want here is, well, it's not invented here, or that's not the way we've done it in the past. And I challenge any of you, go to your pickup truck, go to your car. If you're getting ready to make a 6-hour trip, you don't go to your glove box and look for a map to design your trip and where you're going to go, right? You pick up your phone and you put in a destination. Not only do you know the route you're going to take, going to know if there's any obstructions on that route. If there's any construction, it's going to detour you for that route. And you're going to be able to tell your party that you're arriving within 15 minutes of when you're going to be there. And that's what Visor Pro and the technology that's in this collective and collaborative information is going to do for the future. Today, and it's doing it today. So there's dealers, like we've discussed with Danielle on the phone, that you can't slap the smile off their face. They're using it, they adapted to it, and they're going to continue to learn from it and grow. There's others that are spectators on this call right now. They're wondering, is the investment worth the return? And am I going to get that return? You're going to get that return just in the happiness of your employees.
Well, I can tell you that the break even is 45 minutes per technicians per month. All we need to do is save them 45 minutes. Now, George, what is the danger of kicking this technology can down the road? We're scared to make a move. We're going to watch and stuff like that. What's your impression of the danger of kicking this can? I have mine. I'll share it in a second, but I'm interested in yours.
I think the danger is a question of survival. If you don't do it in your dealership, your competitor across the street is going to. And when I say across the street, the 10 years I spent in a dealership, we had a competing brand directly across the street. And they, customers would go from one dealership to the other without even having moved their car. And they want to know, can you take care of me? And if not, I'm going to go across the street and I'm going to get it taken care of. The customer is not color loyal. The customer is concerned about their own efficiency, their own profit, their own productivity. And if your people can't do it, they're going to go wherever it can be done. So the danger of not adopting technology is going to be survival of the dealership.
Danielle, again, I remember driving in the snowstorm to visit with Stacy on that Saturday at Evansville, Indiana, or whatever it was, and had a great conversation. He made the decision to move forward. How hard has this been? I just want, again, you to reinforce the timeline and the sequence. So we didn't load everything in your vault immediately. We started out with some. Can you talk about that and tell me about how much pressure we put on you as a dealership to launch Visor Pro?
Yeah, so when the decision was made, we had that first initial meeting of what product categories we wanted to have loaded, right, and what sequence of data to load. That was a meeting where it was very loose, no pressure. Kind of the dealer's agenda is the only thing that mattered. We gave a list of about 4 product lines, and then about 4 other short lines. And from the day that we generated that list and gave to you all, no jokes aside, within 2.5 to 3 weeks, you had that data loaded. We had 80% of the dealer brain, which 80% access to work order history. That was complete in that first 2.5 weeks. Legitimately had a 15-minute Teams call where my super users, as we called ourselves on this, us 3 got on, went through a session of a couple examples of how to look for data, and man, it was the smoothest thing that I have been a part of when you look at integration. We've had some other integrations along the way with IntelliDealer that did not go near as well. I mean, we've had some real struggles there on some other integrations. And this wasn't nothing like that. And we got that first data set loaded. We've expanded since then, going back to the, some older data and stuff. And it's been, truly, I can say this, it's not a fabricated story. There's been 0 road bumps, in this integration process or the use of this tool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And now we're going to be integrating all of your harvest equipment into this thing. So as we move along. So John, just I'm going to just go to John, and then I'm going to wrap up with Dealer Mind Summit here. But John, just from a standpoint of, again, trying to get the dealers to do a demo with us, to start the process moving, because we want to bring these dealers on for fall, right, John?
Yeah, absolutely. And we really appreciate, Daniel, your comments of how easy it was to integrate everything and how quick it was to get you up and running. But you know, from our standpoint, we do want to put a sense of urgency there in the minds of dealers that are looking at adopting Visor Pro, because we are doing implementations on a very regular basis. And if you want Visor Pro in place for harvest, now is the time to reach out to us to either book a demo. We'll be happy to prepare a quote for you and get you up and rolling as quickly as possible, so you're completely comfortable with the system before it gets.
We got Eric Schuler just waiting in Nashville. Eric will do a demo with you. He'll drive out your dealership. I don't care where he has to go. Eric is just awesome. And we're very, very lucky to have Eric on our business development side, living out of Nashville. So we got good geographic coverage. An event coming up in the next little while here, Dealer Mind Summit with the Lessiter Group. George, are you guys both going to be there? How's this? I'll start with you, George.
I'm going to be there. We're going to do a pre-summit workshop on absorption. To part of the discussion we've had already today, I think the newer generations running dealerships are slightly less focused on equipment and market share, and are beginning to realize that what is supporting the dealership is more often the parts, service, and rental side of the aftermarket operation. And, you know, anything that they can do to improve their profitability in those departments is going to help offset expenses of running the dealership. So that's what we're focusing on in the Dealer Mind Summit. The entire program is focused on absorption.
Okay, and Russ, any comments to add to that?
No, I'll be disappointed. This will be, I've made 2 of the last 3 Mind Summits, and you always leave there with new innovation and ideas. But I personally have a family conflict that's going to keep me away. But I've read the agenda, and I know that Mike's team's got a good, solid agenda, and there'll be something for everyone to take away. And the integration between business systems and what's going on with AI will be top of mind.
John, you're going to be there with Eric?
Yes, I will be.
All right, right on. Okay, Daniel, you're going to wind this thing up. So final word to you. I love the energy you have. You're the youngest guy on the call here by a long shot. I remember my haircut was your color one time. I remember when Russ had hair. Anyway, sorry about that, Russ. So wind up to you, Daniel.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me join with you all. And you know, the one thing that I'll say about Vi and kind of wind up with this, the thing that I've done in my service department is truly try to create a department where we can add excellent customer, have excellent customer service experience, really focus on that farmer first mentality that AGCO has brought about. But coming from the service truck world, I was in a truck 17 years, and I know how it is to be out on a job and not be able to find the information that you need. And it's in there, it's buried in a book somewhere, but you just cannot pull it out to get it on the page in front of you. This is a tool that I can feel confident will make my technicians' jobs easier. It will make my service managers' jobs easier. And then everything else that this thing adds to our dealership is totally an ancillary benefit. I've put all of these benefits above the financial benefit of this tool that I know it's going to prove to add value and gains in the more we use it. So Again, it's been a truly a pleasure, you know, getting on board with this, and it's definitely one of the you know, technology and softwares, and that's kind of the fun part of what we do is how to do it better than we were doing it yesterday. And this is one thing that's going to absolutely allow us to do that.
Want to thank you a lot for being on the call. Pass Stacy a hi from me, Daniel, and Russ and George. Thank you so much for your expertise. George, looking forward. I know that John and Eric will be at the Dealer Mind Summit. Thank you all for being on this T1 Technology Visor Pro webinar, and please, please, please book a demo with us. We'd love to bring your dealership on for this fall season. Thanks a lot, and good talking to you all.